my secret to success that first year was...
So the big question is, what are top agents doing to absolutely crush it in real estate, grow their teams and add more transactions year over year while so many struggle? To get the answers, we interview top real estate agents to learn their secrets to success. Listen, we believe every agent should make a minimum of $100,000 per year, and we're on a mission to make this happen. We've already helped over 100 agents achieve this with our coaching. So if you want to fast track your business growth, get to your first $100,000 in GCI or add another $100,000 in GCI using social strategies, then head over to go.eliteagentsecrets.com, or you can just click the link in the description below. Also, just make sure to follow us, hit that subscribe button, and if you get any value from this at all, please tell a friend and leave us a review. My name is Andrew Dunn.
And my name is Peter Michael. Welcome to Elite Agent Secrets.
Hey everyone, and welcome to this episode of the Elite Agent Secrets show. Today we've got Gordon Stein with us. He's been in real estate for 12 years in Philadelphia. In 2021, him and his small team closed 125 deals, racking up $35 million in sales. But he all started out with some law and entrepreneurship at university in Drexel University. This is a new one on me. He's going to unpack it all. Sounds like a crazy place. He's going to unlock some party stories for everyone listening today. Gordon, thanks for coming on the show. We're looking forward to breaking down your secrets to success. 125 deals in a year with a small team is absolutely no fucking joke. And we're glad that you're going to share with everyone how you managed to achieve it in what is a relatively short period of time. And off air, you were just saying you've got 2 kids. So he's achieved that and he's got a family. So everyone listening, you can do this too. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you guys. Yeah.
Dude, I love having another Philly boy in the house.
Yeah, man,
yes. When I saw that 267 number, I got super excited. Lo and behold, we basically walked the same streets, did the same things. We have similar circles of friends, which means that you, my friend, are going to be a great company here for us or with us. So, but take us back to the first day one. How did you even get involved in real estate? What did that look like? Because I'm assuming the 125 didn't just come out the gate overnight, right?
Yeah, so good question. So I started when I was 18 years old being at Drexel. I lived in University City, and at Drexel, there's a co-op program as part of the classes there. So when I was, I think, sophomore in college, I got a part-time job working at my apartment building that I lived in. So it was like the best commute ever, literally an elevator ride down to my office, which is you're hungover every day. You don't really, it's like, you can't beat that. So that was my intro to real estate. I started doing leasing and property management and student housing, fell in love with it. Right after college, got my real estate license, but I didn't really use it. I was doing property management, station, salaried position, you're making X amount of dollars a year, but working my ass off, property managers are working nights, they're working weekends, you're getting yelled at left and right by tenants, by owners. So I worked in large apartment buildings. From there, I worked at some private property management companies. And I'm like, screw this. Like, enough is enough. I can't keep, working my ass off like this, which I thought that was the only world of real estate I knew at the time. But, I had my license. I didn't really do any sales. So I'm like, fuck this. Let's go all in. So at the time, I was with my girlfriend, now wife, and she's like, do it. We're good. Like, if we need to, I'll help you. I'll support you. So I gave up my salary, went all in, joined Keller Williams, started out with the Attican group at the time. Antonio and Adam brought me on, kind of, learn the ropes from there. After, working at KW for a while, I ended up going and working with Chris Summers at Remax, who's another big top producing agent in the Philly area. And I worked at OCF Realty under some big developers. So I've been all over the place, but my background early on is all from property management and kind of just worked my way up.
How much do you think of an edge did that give you when you first were starting out? I mean, you knew property manage like the back of your hand. So
I'll be honest, the property management helped me learn the city because I'm from New Jersey originally. Like I'm born and raised in Central Jersey. I am not from the Philly area. I moved to Philly just for college, never moved back home. So I didn't really have any knowledge of the city outside of like University City and Center City at the time. Like I never went anywhere else being at Drexel. So property management allowed me to learn the neighborhoods. When I was doing leasing for a private company, I was out showing properties everywhere. And I had no idea where I was, but over time I started realizing where neighborhoods were in the city. So now I call myself like a neighborhood expert. And property management was really the best way to learn that. I was out showing rentals nonstop, and I learned the city that way.
What was your first years like as an agent then? How many deals did you do? Kind of give us a timeline as best as you can from like year one to last year.
It's a great question. So my first year in real estate, I had a goal to sell one house a month. I was like, I wanted to make my salary that I was making in property management. And if I made more than that, it was great. So fully transparent, I was making, I think when I left property management, about less than 60,000 a year. It was like 57 and change. So my first year in real estate, I sold 12 houses and I made about 65,000 in net commission. So I was like ecstatic. I was working on my own schedule. And then from there, it just kept doubling, tripling. And it was like the snowball effect. So 12 houses my first year. Second year is about 25 houses and so on and so forth.
And we did 125 in 2021. Some big boy numbers those are.
So one of the things that I wanted to ask you is you had a okay start, 12 houses, one a month, then you doubled again. Why do you feel that you were able to hit your goal the first year and then double the year after that and continuously hit it when there are some agents that you and I both know that are in your same city, the same exact environment, and they can't close a deal in their first 6 months, 9 months, or maybe even 12 months?
Yeah, man. So, I have this conversation a lot with some of the agents on my team, some of the newer agents. And my secret to success that first year was open houses. I cannot even tell you how many open houses I did a weekend. And I kind of developed what I call the perfect open house process, where I didn't just show up to the open house and sit there for an hour, 2 hours. Like I really made something of it. But I crushed open houses, and I was very intentional with doing the open houses because I had a lot to prove. I gave up my salary. I had like a chip on my shoulder. Like, I had a little bit of savings, but not enough to be successful. So I did a ton of open houses, and that's how I built my business. I would probably do anywhere from 3 to 6 open houses a weekend. I would show up with mimosas. Every open house, I would have mimosas and Federal Donuts. That was like my thing. If you're from Philly, you probably know what Federal Donuts is. And that was my thing. And with the open houses, I always, it's not about selling the house. It's all about building the relationship and meeting people. And that was my goal. Every open house, I didn't give a shit about the property that I was there for. I'm sorry, sellers, if any of my, any of my sellers from back then are listening to this, but in all honesty, like the open houses are a great way to just meet people and build relationships with the neighbors, with first-time home buyers. And my business was all first-time home buyers from the first year.
Okay, so I have to ask. You said you have the perfect open house platform. You said you have mimosas, you have Federal Donuts. By the way, anybody who's not from Philly, if you ever get a chance to visit Philly, you absolutely must stop by Federal Donuts. Shameless plug. No, they didn't pay us for this because it's an amazing, amazing spot.
But if they do want to pay us, get in touch. Give us free donuts.
They can give us free donuts for life.
Michael Salmonov, hopefully, him and his partner.
So walk us through what your open house kind of looked like, because first of all, most people are like, I do 1 or 2 open houses a weekend. You're like, I do 3 to 6 open houses a weekend, which means you're almost double, triple. So you're increasing your odds. And then there's people who are like, I do an open house and I don't get anything from it. So you obviously have some kind of a tweak or strategy, or the intention is totally different. So help us understand, what are you doing that's helped you build your business to that point?
Yeah, and I'll just be very clear. Open houses aren't fun, especially if you're young and have a social life. If your friends are out going drinking or partying on the weekends or traveling, and you show up, you allocate however many hours a day on your weekends to be at these open houses, and no one shows up. It kicks the shit out of you. All that momentum is gone. But it's a numbers game. Open houses are a pure numbers game. So the more you do, the more clients you're going to meet. A lot of people get discouraged because they sit the 2 open houses, no one shows up. Why would you want to go back again and do it? But I would encourage new agents to just keep doing it. The more you do, the more people you meet. You can do 10 open houses in a weekend. Just do, whatever it is, you will meet more people the more open houses you do. And that's the secret. A lot of people just give up. It's the same thing with same thing with cold calling, same thing with, with anything in real estate. It's all a numbers game. The more people you call, the more people you speak to, the more open houses you do will result in more business.
So, Gordon, you're telling us that you have literally no special sauce, no secret sauce. You just have a little sign-in sheet, and you were outdoing people on the numbers, and you stuck with it for long enough to see it actually work.
My only secret sauce was have something there to make people stay. So for me, it was mimosas and Federal Donuts, because if someone wants a free $3 donut, they're gonna sit there and chat for a little bit, and I can then learn more about them. They have to finish their mimosa before they hit the street. It was a good way for me to casually have conversations with people and get them to stay instead of just leaving. The other thing is I would actually build trust with people by not talking negatively about the properties, but saying, well, I understand like this bedroom or this is too small, but there's X, Y, and Z down the street that may be available. So knowing your inventory is key. And then knowing some key information to share with first-time home buyers. For the Philadelphia market, we have a very, very special tax program called the 10-year tax abatement. And if you're a first-time home buyer, you probably have no idea what the hell that is. So, that was like my secret sauce. Everyone that had no idea what the 10-year tax abatement was, I would make sure they knew about it before they left. Just talk to people. It's all about just having conversations, not about selling the house.
See, I love what you're highlighting there, because the property that you're at, it may or may not be the right fit for them. But by talking about the pros and the cons and educating them, now you're distancing yourself from what everybody else is trying to do at the open house, which is sell the freaking property. With the way, the city is, whether you're, Philly, New York, LA, Boca, wherever you are located, by knowing your inventory and by telling the people that walk into the open house something that they don't know, you start raising the flags of like, oh shit, my realtor is not talking to me about this. Oh shit, I had no idea about this. What else does Gordon know? What else does whoever's at the open house know? Where now it gives you an excuse to have another conversation with them, because you can always follow up, right? So getting the information is a lot easier, because now you don't have to beg them or force them to do the sign-in sheet, but now they're offering it. And you're right. Food is a very good bribe for anybody who stops by an open house. Drinks, an even better one.
It's like a $20, $25 investment. But if you stack your open houses, and let's say, you just you move on from one open house to the next and just bring your box of donuts with you. So, for a $25 investment, the more open houses you do, it's a better return on your investment on the food and drinks too.
So is the open houses how you ended up going from the 12 to 24? Is that you scaled that up? And how far then did the open houses take you before you were like, I need to do something different, or I'm capped out here, or, maybe it was family. So you were like, actually, I can't do this because now I've got to stay home because of X, Y, Z. What was the timeline on open houses kind of dwindling?
Yeah. So, the open houses create the snowball effect, because, I think it took me maybe 5 or 6 months to sell my first house. But then, from there, I sold the 12 houses that first year. And then all I did is just maintain those relationships with those clients I met at the open houses. And any dollar I ever spent marketing was always back to my past clients. I didn't pay for any leads. I didn't do anything crazy. I would just give gifts to my clients. I would take clients out for every deal that I closed my first year. Those clients went out to a fancy dinner or a fancy happy hour with me and my mortgage partner at the time, just so we can ask them for who else they know. So from there, over time, as I got busier and busier, the open houses dwindled away. I started building out a team. My focuses, went into some other avenues. But the open houses, my first 2 years, 3 years in the business, is really all I did to build like my business.
So what I want to do is I want to roll you in, because a lot of the things we discussed actually really wrap into your first topic, which is the success to being successful in real estate is, drum roll fucking please, hard work, right? Putting in the time and doing what you should to consistently will eventually pay off. So what does when you say, working hard, putting in the hard yards, what does that mean to you and to everyone listening? Like, how can they action against that, as obvious as it may seem?
So my definition, or I guess what that means for working hard, is putting in the time. Like, success does not come overnight. Real estate is very easy to get into. It's very difficult to be successful. The success comes with the hours. I mean, nights, weekends, you have friends that are, out, especially because I got my real estate license. I was in real estate in college. And even that, when I was working in property management, I would be, in my leasing office on the weekends. My friends would be out getting wasted, and I would miss so many of those opportunities because I'd be working. So, it's just.
Do you miss it?
What's that?
Do you miss it? Do you regret it?
I mean, yeah, there's part of me that regrets like working so hard early on, but then again, like, I'm hoping to retire by, 45 and then not have to work. So like, you kind of have to pick and choose where your priorities are. And back then, I knew early on that I did not want to work, past 45. Like that was my goal. And if so yeah, I mean, a part of me has that regret. Like I missed out on a lot of parties and probably things, but now like, I have a great family, and looking back at it, I probably would have been 10 years behind if I didn't start early. So,
yeah. But the best part is now you're in a position where you can go to the cigar bar on Walnut and not have to worry about how much that shit costs, right? Because you're in a different place versus probably some of your peers, right? So we look at it as, regret or sacrifice. But in the end, I think you prioritize similar to like what we're doing and everybody who's listening to this podcast, because you've invested in yourself. And that has allowed you to be, collecting the compound effect to where you are today.
You got to make sacrifices. I think we hit the nail on the head. The hard work, that all comes from making sacrifices. And you can't get discouraged. I think that's the key too. So if you have a shitty weekend, with your open houses or whatever it is, you take a client out, you show them 50 houses and never buy anything. That's the nature of our business. Just, you got to keep going and keep your head up and understanding that. I think the mental, having a good mentor, having a good business partner, accountability partner helps keep you sane, because if you don't have that, it's very difficult. So my wife is phenomenal with helping me stay on track and keep sane in this business, because it's tough sometimes.
How do you keep going? How do you persevere when you just have, shitty open houses, nobody shows up, you just wasted half of your Saturday, AKA wasted half of your Saturday. In reality, you've invested half of your Saturday into learning what not to do. What are you doing to overcome some of those obstacles that you're talking about here?
Yeah, that's another really, you guys have some great questions. Thanks. To overcome like that, it's tough. I think it's just understanding that there's a bigger goal at the end of this hard work. Like, you're going to have, your step backs before your steps forward. So even though you get, you're discouraged and you wasted your weekends, it is what it is. Like, you're going to be upset, but just know that it's a numbers game. I always just focus that this is a numbers game. If this buyer didn't buy anything, there's plenty of other buyers. But if you just keep doing what works and you do it consistently, the only path is success. As long as you just keep doing what makes you successful.
Yeah. So when it was success for me is like, I always think of like the kind of the Grand Canyon analogy, which is like water vs rock. And people are like, well, if you drop water on rock, what wins? It's like, well, the rock does, but you keep trickling water over rock for 10 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 100 years, 1,000 years, all of a sudden you got the Grand Canyon, right? Like, this is how business works. This is definitely how real estate works. Real estate is a 10-year game. Anyone listening to this, if you aren't mentally equipped and you aren't prepared to go, I'm doing this for the next 10 years, like I'm in, like I'm all in. Because in the next 10 years, you can make an extortionate amount of money. Fact. You can make a lot of money. You can make 6 figures in your first year, no problem. We've done it. It's not even hard. We did 100K in 100 days. First 100 days in real estate, brand new agents made 100 grand. Totally possible. But we're talking about if you want to make millions, you can do that in a decade. Like millions and millions of dollars. And you can change your fucking life and you can retire at 45. Now, working hard is one thing. One of my questions to you then is, do you have a schedule? Do your days look a certain way so that hard work isn't, and like persistence is one thing, but for example, you can get up every day, the same time every day is a good habit. But then if you're not doing certain consistent activities, whether it's like, do you block out lead generation? Like, how does, let's say, hard work, what does that actually look like on a day-to-day for you? And what would you recommend that other people do?
So I'll say kids change that for sure. When I was in like my grind, as I call it, or really hustling, I was waking up really early, working out, doing, that morning routine. The cliche answer is the morning routine. I think that's key to your business. So I focused a lot. The Miracle Morning for real estate agents. I'll give a plug to Hal Elrod's book. Phenomenal for any new agent starting out. That morning routine is so clutch. Like you get all your, you eat the frog first thing in the morning. You work out. I try and meditate at least 5 minutes every morning if I can. But that morning routine. So for me, when I was early on, I did all of my lead generation first thing in the morning. I would try not to get in my business. I would work on my business, as we call it, early on. And then, I guess you always try and do that, but I think we all know that as much as we try and stick to that routine, we're in real estate, fires are always popping up, shit happens. But just like, you keep trying to do what makes you successful. I would always just try and have my morning set to accomplish, the lead generation and mental health first thing in the morning.
And then rock and roll throughout the day. I mean, we Peter, like you said, we were just talking again off air. He's just had his second daughter. He's got 2 children now. And I'm out here living the bachelor life. So the irony is he has to be far more regimented on his time that he allots. He's also far easier to go off task because it's I've got to take my daughters to do this. I've got to do this, but he'll schedule when I schedule stuff for a day or a week. I don't do it hour by hour because it just doesn't work for me. If I'm between 12 and 1, I'm doing this, it doesn't work. But what I do, 5 things every day that I want to achieve. So write a list, 5 things. It's do an hour of lead generation, do X, follow up with 10 people, reach out to my referral database, whatever the 5 things are that day. And then just make sure I hit them 5 off every day. And that is what allows me to feel like I'm making progress in business, right? It's these are the things that I do consistently. And you get the compound effect over time. Like you said, your first deal took 6 months of doing these open houses, but then you did 12 deals in 6 months. So you actually did 2 deals a month, not one, and it averaged out to a deal a month. But that's the power of compounding. You're doing open houses all the time, figuring stuff out. 6 months, nothing. And then it's 2 deals a month. Say your average commission is, even if we just say $5,000, even if it's more, then it's all of a sudden you've made all that money in a 6 month time period. And, it works out very well and you've grown since then. And I'm sure you've had your consistency then. Oh, and by the way, if you're interested in gaining access to our course and coaching programs, then head over to go.eliteagentsecrets.com.